I got into entrepreneurship to not only change the world for the better, but to also change my own world. I didn't quite fit into the typical hierarchical workplace. As I learned about the world of entrepreneurship, I thought how exciting this world seemed, a place where I could use my skills and be empowered. I could be my own leader and build a healthy culture as I grew my own company. So, when I launched my safety technology startup in 2015, I felt absolutely invincible. I sought to build a product that aligned with my values of health, wellness, and the outdoors. I was determined to use my professional training and psychology to understand customers at a deep level. So, after seeing friends lose their vision or suffer from traumatic brain injuries in bike crashes, I had a vision to invent the world's first bike and scooter helmet that's both foldable and fully customizable. The problem is that most riders don't wear helmets because they're inconvenient, limited in sizing, and are often unattractive. So I journeyed into the startup world to invent the best technology in helmets that people would want to wear. A foldable helmet that fits into any purse, and its covers and chin straps are interchangeable to customize your look in a way that helmets never have been. It's a complete game changer for people who ride regularly and want to look really good doing it. So I completed startup accelerators, achieved major milestones in research and development, filed global patent applications, and won several pitch competitions, all in an industry that's dominated by male engineers. I gathered pre-orders and began building global partnerships with the likes of Bird and Uber, recruited great talent, and single-handedly raised nearly $500,000 in seed capital. All things that I had never done before. So at the peak of my company's achievements, something life-changing happens on November 14th, 2017. I receive an email from the editor-in-chief at Forbes magazine stating, "Congratulations, Rachel, you have been selected to be on the Forbes 30 Under 30 list." I immediately fall to my knees in tears. I'm in awe that my research, hard work, and mission are being acknowledged at such a massive level. Ironically, that very same day, I get a letter in the mail stating, "You have been approved for food stamps and Medicaid." So what does this mean for me? Well, this dramatic dichotomy of experience is one example of the mental exhaustion many startups face when entering the echo chamber of affluent entrepreneurs pitching ideas to wealthy investors. Finding my place within the system would require nothing less than proving my worth by risking everything I have. Being added to the Forbes 30 Under 30 list on the same day I'm added for food stamps epitomizes my behind-the-scenes roller coaster life as a founder and inventor, undulating between big wins and massive losses. Here I am, 3 years into my startup, beaten up mentally without acknowledging it. I'm not sleeping or eating well, haven't had health insurance in years, and max out my personal finances. I'm working 70 hours a week in a perpetual state of stress, leading every aspect of the business and agonizing over moving faster than competitors. I lean entirely on my passion to invent a revolutionary product out of thin air. And when someone tells me no, I figure out a solution around it. And yet, I'm running on empty and becoming critically depressed as we start to hit setback after setback in manufacturing and fundraising. But no one knows about any of this because I hide it well to convey dedication and strength. I allow my startup to consume me, and I'm running out of ways to pivot while staying true to my vision. And after 5 years of this, I made the difficult decision to close down due to insurmountable challenges in meeting all federal regulations and a prolonged lack of funding at the onset of a global pandemic. There are many entrepreneurs who, like me, struggle in silence to bring about their innovations at any cost. When entrepreneurs hyper-focus on their vision, they can lose sight of critical relationships like those with their team, their customers, and with themselves. When mental wellness is compromised, the leaders in a startup inevitably suffer. In a recent study led by Dr. Michael Freeman at the University of California, 72% of surveyed entrepreneurs were affected by mental health conditions compared to just 48% of non-entrepreneurs. That's 396 million people struggling with their mental health out of the 550 million entrepreneurs that are in the world right now. Their reported conditions included addiction, depression, anxiety, and neurodivergence. And 1 in 3 of these entrepreneurs self-reported having 2 or more of these mental health conditions. Dr. Friedman's studies on mental health and entrepreneurship suggest that entrepreneurs who are often highly energetic and motivated are also more likely to experience strong emotional states. This puts them more at risk for depression, suicidal thinking, despair, and a sense of worthlessness. For example, within 3 months' time, I bought machinery, taught myself to use it to make prototypes, built a safety testing rig, and solved endless design and manufacturing challenges to build a minimum viable product. I was invigorated by the seemingly insurmountable challenges my team could solve. And yet, when I heard no for the 1,000th time from investors or yet another delay at the federal testing site, my endless enthusiasm turned into anxious desperation. This shift impacted the productivity of my team, and the more our resources diminished, the more burnt out I became. Founders need real mental wellness solutions that help them to not only survive, but thrive as they innovate. The typical advice suggests things like exercise, therapy, having enough savings to carry you through your first year. All good suggestions, yet these are often the first things that get sacrificed when racing against the clock to get a product to market or inaccessible to begin with. Generic advice is not enough, especially when it contradicts the pressure of a never-stop grinding culture. Many of my startup peers are living hand to mouth, having mental breakdowns and abusing substances to numb their anxieties. The poor mental health of founders is the massive, unseen cost of entrepreneurship hidden between the lines of a startup's profit and loss statement. Being pushed to fake it till they may never make it, and to never stop hustling. This culture is burning founders out, hoping that the insanity will result in massive success, but it often doesn't. The stark reality is that 90% of all startups fail, regardless of industry, and 75% of venture capital-backed companies don't succeed. And yet, entrepreneurs are starry-eyed, hoping they will transform their ideas into the next great unicorn. So, why the rise and grind culture, the never give up mantra, even against such dismal odds? There has to be a better way. This is a huge opportunity for the startup ecosystem, which consists of incubators, universities, angel investors, venture capital firms, and the like, to prime startup founders for success from day one. When implemented across this community, programming in mental wellness and resilience will facilitate a positive systemic shift. What if the ecosystem mentally primed entrepreneurs to create, like a manufacturing plant is prepped to be ready for production, to prepare them before the inevitable storms that lie ahead? The solution is what I call mental sustainability, a way for innovations to be cultivated and for businesses to be born with an emphasis on sustaining mental well-being for the long haul of an enterprise. Having consistent programs that support founders will bring about amazing innovations built by healthy leaders. Enduring creativity is the result of a healthy mind, not from one who is overworked and unpaid. When I met other entrepreneurs at startup events, a few shared that they were living in their cars, another in the storage closet of his colleague's office, and many others were in great debt. And since it often takes 3 times longer to launch a company than founders expect, there is more at stake for those without expendable income and without wealthy networks, which inevitably tanks most entrepreneurs, regardless if they have a brilliant invention or not. So what if we built a system where a lack of money was not an inhibitor to proliferating great ideas? And imagine how many innovations have gone unfounded due to a lack of funding. There are a small number of incubator programs that offer a stipend for living costs to their founders in exchange for shares of the company. These types of resources allow founders to get to market quicker, work full-time for it, and cover basic living costs to function, kind of like an internship. However, a majority of these stipends are expected to be spent on traditional startup expenses only, not for personal income. So, much like scientists and researchers, we must build a system where startups are compensated for their efforts and insights gained, valuing their innovative contributions as they pioneer new avenues for our world to evolve. The community has done a great job of teaching founders how to scale, but the tactics taught are all at the expense of the founder's personal health. The startup ecosystem cannot keep throwing money at potential unicorns and building yet another crash course incubator that pushes founders past their mental limits. The ecosystem must invest resources into the mental sustainability of its startups and destigmatize mental health in the community. Why? Modern economies cannot function without entrepreneurs. Our world's future depends on their ability to innovate. During the last recession in America, entrepreneurs produced 67% of all jobs created. And in 2020, startups created over 3 million jobs in the US alone. So supporting entrepreneurs to be at their best benefits all of us. The ecosystem will blossom from conducting wellness audits on founding teams that achieves both the business bottom line and builds a healthy company culture. What would these wellness audits look like? Being a leadership coach for stealth tech startups to major brands like Hudson Bay Company, I've seen that a great way to achieve results with leaders is to make a goal that's specific, measurable, actionable, and has accountability. Wellness audits measure a startup team's actionable commitment towards mental well-being and resilience. Strengths of the team's practices are highlighted and measured for success impact, and areas for improvement are addressed with actionable wellness goals as a part of ongoing audits to foster the best leadership and innovative thinking from their team. If all investors and venture capital partners incentivize startups to pledge to meet standards of mental sustainability in order to receive investment, not only would this bolster the resiliency of startups, it would also lower the risk of the investments made in them. A handful of venture capital partners offer group therapy and individual coaching for burnout founders. Our ecosystem must do better at preventing burnout as a whole system, allowing founders to give their brains a chance to recharge and come back swinging with better ideas. The entrepreneurial community must proactively support all innovators from day one. That include education dedicated solely to building and protecting mental well-being in a founding team. Wellness audits will provide both accountability and practical know-how for innovative, scrappy startup teams to establish healthy work environments and business practices early on. I imagine a world where startup norms include consistent individual and team coaching, leadership development, conflict resolution training, wellness retreats, and equitable access to research grants or stipends for salaries. These interventions, when done proactively, will transform into standard operating procedures for startups as they grow. Mental sustainability is the future. The antiquated model of burning someone out to get results is plaguing entrepreneurship. Let's foster a sustainable system, not where the product is more important than its inventor, but where the inventor is more valued than its product. Because in doing so, we build better organizations and better solutions for our world's greatest challenges. Without healthy minds, we all miss out on great innovation. Thank you.